They'll ask you to shoot it eventually. Yes, close it. I'll unlock it now, and I'll unlock the door again before I'll be here 6:31.
So, cool. I can start. So this evening, we're learning in the Dvar Malchus of the Rabbi, but we're actually going back a Parsha than where we were last week, because that year when the Rebbe said the Sichos was not a Shnasa Ibor like we have right now, and a Shnasa Ibor changes the kriyas of all the different weeks. So the Sikha, where the Rebbe talks about things which have a direct connection with where we're holding right now, is the week before what we learned last week. And so that's what we're doing this evening. And the learning is taking place in the Beis Knesset Tzemach Tzadik, Asher V'Yira HaKodesh Yira Atika Yira Kodesh Tzvas. This evening is Thursday night, Yud Behar Toshin Ein Tet. What that means that Shabbos is Yud Gimel, and Yud Gimel is a special day for the Rebbe, which we're going to see as we go along, hopefully, in the Sikha. So it's a very, very massive Sikha with a lot of different aspects to it. So since the beginning part, we already learned more or less the same inyan last week. I'm just going to deal very briefly with the first part, and then I'm going to start more from the second heading, Geula Mishachareres as a Matthias Me'agoyla. That's where I'm going to start, so that we have a hope of maybe reaching a bit further in to the Sikha. It's a very complex and massive Sikha in the Dvar Malchus Agodol. It covers about 44 pages. It's very very common. However, the point was made in detail in the Sikha we learned last week that the word Geula is the word for Goyla, which is the word for Golas, plus a aleph. And that aleph indicates HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Alufei Shaloilom, and he is mitgaleh in the Goyla, and that turns Goyla into Geula. In other words, if you bring a firm revelation and above usual revelation of Alufei Shaloilom into the Goyla, then you change the Goyla into Geula, and bearing in mind that there are many words in the Torah Shebiksav, both in Chamisha Chumsei Torah and in the Nevi'im, for the word Geula, all sorts of different names that would imply the concept of Geula. And yet the name, which is accepted by all Yidden and is used commonly in all sorts of discussions in reference particularly to Moshiach and everything that will follow Moshiach, is amazing, and the whole thing is all expressed in the word Geula. So that means that the word Geula is a Shem Klali for the whole concept of bringing Gula into the situation we're in now, and also for expressing the ultimate ideal situation that will be when Mashiach comes. So the Rebbe said, and like we learned last week, that means that Geula does not imply that we're going to flee from the Gullahs and leave the Gullahs completely behind, but the whole inyan of Geula is going to be a opposite situation of Gullahs, and it's going to be Meshachrer, everything that's in the Geula, of all that we're doing. Everything that's in the Goyla. And everything we're doing in the Goyla is basically, if we're doing it according to Torah mitzvah, a preparation and a build-up for the Geula, as the old Torah points out in Tanya, in Perik Lamed Zayin. So that means that the Geula is going to elevate the whole the Geula, not run away from it or be mevatel. And therefore, all the good things and everything preparation that is being made be elevated. The Rebbe just added an extra question, and that's what we're going to just mention now before we go ahead. The Rebbe said that the Gula is not only just going to be a freedom from all the shirbud, and what we might call enslavement of the Gullahs, but after a certain period, there's going to be all sorts of wondrous changes in the whole world. As well known, the Rebbe learns that like there are two periods. There's going to be a period of Moshe Mashiach, when it'll be just a change in the general minhag of the olam, and everything will be freedom, recognition of Hashem and all that. And then there'll be a further stage in which all sorts of miraculous things told in the Nevi'im, and especially in Yeshayahu and Navi, are all going to be Makuyim. And then there will be Tchias HaMesim, which will be like the most supreme ness, which will occur amongst all these nisim. So the Rebbe said, it's a bit hard to understand. What does that have to do with the Goyla and elevating the Goyla through the Aleph? Because that's also part of the Geula, when that's things which are going to be shalom be'erah. They're not comparable to our situation now. So how does that fit with the idea that the Aleph is going to elevate the whole Goyla? That's a question that the Rabbi. So now we're starting under the second heading. Geula Mishachreus Tamatiyas Mi HaGoyla. Ela. Shadavke Bakak Tmuna Hatshuva. The Rebbe said, if we understand the depth of the question that we just asked, that the second period of the Gula is going to be so massive, how can that be compared to just putting an aleph in the Goyla? He said, hidden in that question is really the answer. And he said, what is that? Geula ein pirusha haznocha shel hachayim. The inyan of Geula doesn't mean that we're going to just leave behind all the Gullahs and very happily flee from it. Like we've pointed out already on numerous occasions. The whole inyan of the Geula is going to be to elevate and use all the things that we've prepared. And they're all going to become part of the Geula. So he said, אין פירוש ההזנורת שלכם של הפעילויות ושל כל העולם, כפי שהם היו בתקופת הגולה, or leaving behind all the things we've done and achieved and all the inyanim of the olam. Lahiva, Geula kishmo kein hi. Geula is what it really implies in its name. Hi pula shamatzias shahoyas hakoidam Meshubedes, Bagolas, Meshucheres. The whole idea of Geula is that what was there before, but it was, how they call it, enslaved, or was, absorbed and surrounded by the inyan of Golas. Well, that's going to be all freed, and everything that was there is going to move into a a new elevation of what we call Geula. We're not going to cancel anything out except for very, very negative things that have no place whatsoever in Hashem's creation. They will be, but otherwise everything is going to be elevated, and what appears to be a negative thing is really part of the plan of Hashem, but it's going to be freed and show its real nature, or its real pneumias. וככל שהגאולה אמיתית יותר ושלמה יותר, and according to how going further, the further the Geula will become more amitiyas and more shlema, that's to say, will move more into the more elevated aspects of the Geula. Ad the Geula amitiyah v'shlema, hari yoysa v'yoysa dvarim mishtachrerim ad shakol mishtachrer. The Rabbi said everything's going to be freed from its Golas state. And you might almost call what the world calls Golas mentality, the whole sort of situation of the Goyla. It's going to alter by the presence of Hashem and awareness of Him on a much higher level. Everything is going to be, as it were, freed from the tie that it's got to the Matthias of the Golas. Klum loy noisa avuda begolas. Nothing is going to be considered lost, except for very terrible things. They will be completely wiped out, but they are very pure. And therefore there's nothing negative or lost in the future redemption. Afila hanidochim v'ha'oivdim. There's a verse in Yeshaya, Novi says, Uboim ha'oivdim be'eretz Ashur, v'hanidochim be'eretz Mitzrayim, v'yishtachavu l'Hashem Behar beYerushalayim. So nidog means something that's been pushed aside, it's as it were out of the picture. And obud means oivdim, means things that are lost. In other words, there's so much sunken into the Golas of Ashur and Mitzrayim that there's a were lost. Nonetheless, they will all be freed, and they will also have their Geula, and they will come to their full, as it were, status as part of the new plan of Hashem in the Geula. Meaning that even those things looking very, very lost won't be lost at all, but they will all be elevated. Yehein b'kamas v'hein b'eichas, meaning both exactly in the amount that they are, and that amount will be elevated into a new level of quality. Quality means like pneumias. Kol ha'seigim v'apulah shel kol b'nei ha'adam yishtachru. All the good things and all the good pu'ulas, instead of being covered by the helem or the Golas side things, you see all sorts of things, but you don't realize just how much they have a value and what is their real place in Hashem's purpose. You've got to study it very carefully and maybe get the general idea. But that helem behester, that's going to go away, that's going to drop away, and everything is going to be seen how it's part of the real Matthias that's going to be revealed in the Geula. And so therefore, said the Rebbe, everything is going to be nigal, both Pekamas of Vegas, and all the Pulish shall call b'nei Adam, oyaz yitbatel ha'helem v'ha'ester, or the covering over that Golas implies, that we don't see the emes Elikus and the emes pneumias in every inyan, but frata inyan which has been done according to Rotzen Hashem. He said, that's machasa ala matziyas amitiyas, v'apneumias shel matziyas kula, or the helem that's one on, that the word oilom is from Russian helem, the word helem. The way the Eberster made the world after the Chedei Tadah, or that's his man Hagolas, you don't see things. Things can be very leading in Hashem's eyes, but we don't see it. We just see the oilam kamin hogi noya the golden. So all that is going to be taken away, and you'll be able to observe and be aware of the real place and the real panemias of everything. The whole materials of the world will change. He said, Oisha helem hamishabed oiso, yeladake hateva, or that which is that helem, which is enslaves all of us to dake hateva, Gashmi so elam, or that is going to be mistakar. That will be batel. In other words, the fact that we feel so bound to Teva, we must do things only according to Teva. Only that way things make any sense, and everything has got to function the normal way. Otherwise, people get mavulva and they get nervous and all that. So that's because the way Hashem made Bereshit Boro Elohim, Gematria Teva, and Elohim is Lashon Helen, whatever we're meshubed. But that doesn't mean that even things we do under that Helen aren't tremendously important, that they have a great panemius. And when the Gula comes, that panemius will be obvious, which means that everything is there, but it's just going to be freed, and it's going to be part of the alu of Hashem, which is going to drop into the whole goyla and elevate it. And therefore, it doesn't matter, says the Rabbi, on what level you talk. You can talk on a simple level, you can talk on a much higher level, but everything can and will be freed from this binding that we have to the Teva. And Bamil, on a much higher level, as we go further into the Geula, there's going to be much higher things. And their panemias are going to be much more elevated, but it's all based on the same basic rule of the Helen of the world dropping, and the real materials and the panemias of everything being revealed. In other words, we're going to see everything different. And that's part of the whole Veda nowadays, is to try and see things different and not to be persuaded by all the media and all the things you hear and all the things you're exposed to, the Elam Kim the whole thing. The Gula is going to free us of all that, and we're going to see the tremendous divinity of everything. And the further we go into the Gula, that's going to become more and more. And its ultimate purpose, or ultimate flamers, is going to be Tchias Amazing, when that's the highest complete reversal of everything. That we say, Ube Etzem, says the Rebbe, Zehu Teichen Psak Dinoi Shel Rambam. If we think about it carefully, this is the inner content of what the Rambam writes. Behar has Malachim, right near the end of of his whole great work in Behar has Malachim. The Rambam writes over there that B'yamois HaMashiach Oilam Kamin Hagi Noyeg. That at least at the beginning, the world is going to function as it functions now. There's not going to be a huge switch from now straight into Tchias Amazing. It's going to take a lead up. And that will be like the beginning period, and then there'll be the later, much higher period that we spoke about. But at the beginning, Oilam Kimin Hogi Noig, and Omru Chachomim, or that's Shmuel, the Omer Shmuel, in the Gemara Masechta Shabbos, that they said that Ein Bein Olam Hazeh Liyamois HaMashiach Ela Shibud Malchus Bilvad. The whole difference between what it's going to be like when Mashiach arrives and now is going to be that everything is shibud to the way the Goyim want to run the world. When Mashiach will come, it's going to be the opposite. The way Yidden are supposed to run the world, that's how it will be. Yeah, everything will. Oh, but that's, according to the Rambam, that's a rather simple change. It's a very amazing change, but it's a basic symbol. And only later, there'll be bigger developments, although they're all going to be based on that same idea. The Rebbe said, the Rebbe Yeah, ain't been no lamazeli and Moshe Mashiach Shiur bod Malchus bilvad. Ella sheyachzeru kulam ledos emet. Everybody will go back to the genuine religion and the real knowledge that Hashem is one and His name is one and everything is called in His one. Mashiach yitaken eso ilam kuloi. Yeah, love it as Hashem biyachad. Mashiach, like it's written in the Pussy, yeah, Yavdu Kulam, Shechem Echad. Everybody will literally, like one joint shoulder together, everybody will serve Hashem. That's how the Rambam points it out. And basically, it's not really going to alter from that pattern. If it does, it's just on a relative level of the divinity that will be revealed. Because these nival alidesha megalim bekolo inyonim ashakuim begoilo. He said, this we will come to reach that point through being megale in everything that we still see in the goilo. We have to bring into every aspect of life and every aspect of public life and every aspect. You have to bring the Aleph, Aluvi Shaloilom, Vizehu, Elakusa Mistateres Bekorin. And that's what we described before. Well, that's what's hidden. The hidden is the genuine Pneumius, which is the divinity of everything. So if you reveal the Aleph in that, then you're revealing what is the real Emerson. You're taking away the Helem and you're revealing the Emerson. כאשר מסיר את ההלם הזה, מגלים כיצד האמת הפנימיות והתכלית האמיתית של כל הבריאה אין אלא לכבודו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. And that's what's written at the end of the Pirkei Avos, the last chapter, right at the end of the Pirkei Avos. כל מה שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא בעולמו he created the whole thing for His glory. In other words, that the whole world is only there to promote recognition of Hashem's glory. But we sort of move around half blindfolded. The Gula will take away that blindfold and we'll see how that be'emet is the case. How do we reach that? By making an effort with everything that we can to bring that Aleph into the Helem and make it shine as much as we can, and then we'll be zeicher to the Emerson inyan that everything in the Goyla will be hopeful. That's like what the Rabbi said last week, but with a more sort of detailed background to it. The Rabbi goes on to say that people don't have to be shocked by his emphasis on Mashiach. He said some people get worked up, he's talking so much about Mashiach. What's going to be with my world? What's going to happen with everything I've done? And with all my rechush and everything? What's going to happen with me? Or more is going to be floating on the Lanish fire to Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe said, you don't have to worry because everything is going to be elevated. And therefore it's written in the Navi that when the Yidden will come back to Eretz Yisrael, Kaspom v'zahovom itom, they will have all their money with them. And the Rebbe says in another sikha, not this sikha, that you won't have to worry so much about your bank, your etiquette manager, what's he going to say? Because there'll be a different type of running of the money. Everybody will have their money and it'll all be, under another control altogether. Kaspom v'zahovim, and they won't have to worry what's going to happen with their money, because there's not going to be any evil anymore, even right at the beginning. God. If a man will take out everything that he has with him, and it'll all reach a whole new status, but it'll be what it is. So therefore, people don't have to be concerned. That's what the Rebbe says. So I make a problem.
Brings out.
Shahakon Yobadva. Amen. Oh, so now the Rabbi gets to the clear answer to what he asked about the Tkufa Shniya. So he said, Kama Tkufa Shniya, even this very big period later in the Gula of all the Nisim and everything, it's the same basic pattern. He said, V'yesh lo heisir, haluas b'shikro hamatiyas hagolisis, or that idea of freeing and elevating the whole Matthias of Goyla, the way it is, Alidei Hakdoras Aluva Shalom, so bringing the, how do you call it, penetration into that Helem of the Emasa Aluva Shalom, Einen Rak Pu'ula Masuyemas, Batei Hamailas Shatovi Hagula. That's not just one pu'ula in the general setup of the Gula. Elahi kol toichno. He said that is the real emissary content of the whole Gula. Volovina toya go'ila plus aleph leading to Gula. Chal gamalat kuva shnia. Even on the tremendously elevated miraculous period that will be by Tchias HaMeisim, that also fits into the same basic pattern. Asher בתקופה זו כמדובר כמה פעמים, הרי גם לדעת הרמב"ם יתרחשו עניונים כאלו שיובילו לשינוי מנהגי אשר העולם. There'll be a very big change in the way the whole olam runs. Nonetheless, it's also based on the same pattern that everything that's there now is just going to have a tremendous release, as it were, a tremendous elevation into a state of gilui of what it really is. So he said, "Lishinay min hogishalim, v'reish lechoil tchias hamesim." The ultimate purpose will be that those things which are Rahman and Islam, lacking life and dead, will all come back to life, and there'll be a whole new ischachas in the whole Priya. Nonetheless, that's all based on the same basic process of elevating the Aleph in the makeup of the world. It's just that it'll be on a much higher and more, what we might call in Yiddish, a more edel level. So he said, Kaloima, that means to say, Lamroisha betkufa zu lo yitpasu kol inyonim agoras mokoim. He said that even during that period, the second period, all the things of the Golas are not going to have any place. They won't have any value or any particular. Mikol mokim aft kufazu kruyo b'shem goyla geula. He said even that is called goyla, leading into geula. So the Rabbi says, Madua, why don't we give it a higher name? Since it's on a much higher level, move it up into another name. Why leave it with exactly the same? It's the same basic principle, but it's on a much higher and incomparable level. Let it have as it were, status of its own, like a name and a status of its own. So therefore the Rebbe says, let's examine more carefully what is really going on with this whole Inyan. And the Rebbe is going to say a gewaldik purish, or like picture of what is your neshama doing coming down to the world. What's it really doing here? What is its ultimate? And by analyzing that, then we'll be able to see how everything fits into this pattern of coming down into a helem and then revealing a much higher level of Alu V'Shalem. So he said, Dova Yuvan behektim has bodas taklis brias ha'ilom la'ira mavur v'seiva tanya perik lamed vov lamed zayin. He said, if we'll understand more deeply and more directly what the Alter Rebbe is message, particularly in Perik Lamed Zayin, then we'll understand this question. So the Rebbe says, if you look carefully in Perik Lamed, I'll just make a brief lead up to that, that the Rebbe says in Perek Lamed Zayin that the neshama didn't really come down into this world for itself, because the neshama itself doesn't really need a tikkun. The neshama is a chelak elakar mimar, so that even the revealed aspects of the neshama are elakus. Nothing's wrong with the opposite. So there's nothing really that the neshama has to do for its own improvement or its own change. The whole reason why the neshama came down was to change the world into a dear Elohim bara b'takteinim. In other words, you didn't come down for your own sake. You came down in order to be a servant and a medium for making Hashem a dear Elohim bara b'takteinim. And Davki, through that, you carry out the ultimate purpose of Hashem. And you have the neshama has the unbelievable privilege of being the medium through which that was carried out. And so that involves a tremendous aliyah in the neshama. Over the chiddush of the Alter Rebbe is that it didn't come down for that aliyah. Hashem is a good father. He doesn't take away anything good from the neshama. So since by coming down to the neshama, she becomes busy only with making a dira for him. And what does dira mean? A dira means the very atzmas of Hashem will dwell in the world. Well, that means that the neshama on a high level, on a high level, but not atzmas. By coming down to the world and doing Hashem's shlichas, but Mesiras Nefesh having to do with the guf and the Nefesh HaBahamiyah, the neshama becomes shire to atzmas eitov. It's making a dear Elohim, but therefore Atzma Ein Sof literally comes to the neshama and says Ayosha Kohen. So which means that you meet up with Atzma Ein Sof. So the Rebbe said that the neshama had a very specific and tremendously specific alteration, Lamal Yusa. He said, but not for that I came down. In other words, that's part of the deal. Oh, that's not the reason why it came. The reason why you came down was only to make a deal as part of the taxation. And so you're doing his atmas a favor. But you have to do with his atmas. That's tremendous. Oh, that's not the ultimate tax. So that's what he says now. Nis'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu li yisloi dira b'taktoinim. Kalima, what does that mean? You read this on Neshama, the coming down of the soul. Ubriyas ha'olam hazeh, shu ataktin, she'ein taktin lamata himenu, and the creation of this world, which is the lowest of all the worlds, in the way that there's no world lower than this one, he bigdei lamalas tavosei, v'cheftei shalakodim baruch. The Abish has a taiva and a pneumistic erotzim. And we don't know why he has that. We don't even know what's the reason. Oh, but that's what he wanted. He revealed to us that that's what he wanted. He has a taiva, that there should be a dir Elohim God of the taktoid. Of Amela, you've got to devote yourself to that. Zoi shalidei abidosei shala Yehudi, hamavara o mazachei, it's gufay. He said, that is achieved. How do you make a dira b'taktoinim? That you work hard at your own self and you purify and elevate your own nefesh habahamiyas and your own good. Es nafshi achiyunias, that's to say the simple animal soul. Ves gashmias v'chumrias ha'olam. And you have to elevate and purify the Gashmias and the materialism of the world. Ad shehem yu dira l'kodesh baruch hu. L'man matura zu, in order to achieve such a goal, afa mitzvahs rubam islabshu davke b'dvarim gashmiyim. In order that should be achievable, how are you going to do it? Through doing Hashem's will. What is Hashem's will? Torah and mitzvahs. Therefore, all the mitzvahs are got to do with the physical world. It's brought down in Jewish Exodus that even the mitzvahs that you keep with your brain, it's also physically involving the brain. Yeah. When you talk, you read Torah, that's also a form of activity. It's a physical act on the part of the lips. Abamela, he said, therefore, all the mitzvahs, almost all of them, are in Dvarim Gashmiim, Kedei Shalidei Asiyosom, through the carrying out of the mitzvahs, Yizbara v'Yizachei, Achevetz Hagashmi, that how do you call it, the article, the physical material article will be elevated and made higher. Koilo Gam Gufe, including his own body, Shala Yehudi Amakayim Samhita. If only you don't have to look very far, you go running up on the main street and blowing a trumpet or something to make the world into a dira like a. First of all, you make your own self a dira b'taktai. And that helps you there to affect your part of the world which has been given to you. And over there in Periklamatan, he writes that each year that's got a little piece of the world that he's got to take care of. Or it begins through him taking care of his own good and changing that into a medium of Gilei Elokus. Then he can affect the whole world. Ober, it means the neshama has got to busy itself with a physical good and a nefesh HaBaham. And that is why the mitzvahs and the Torah also came down into the physical dafka. He said, "Mitoy kak moven ki yarida lo'ila mazeh." From that we can understand that the whole tremendous descent of the neshama into this world, kemoi gam isaskes imoilom, as also the being busy with the world, eina inyan study bavoy. It's not if it's a extra Indian, a nice Indian that he's got, or a side Indian that he got. Ela other Rabbi, taklis amavia as a shleima. Well, that brings the perfection to the world and also to him. Yeah, it fulfills the very essence of that will of Hashem, which is mitadis etem. So you're doing, as it were, you're perfecting and bringing a shlemus to Hashem, that he gets what he really wants. And also, you also bring a perfection of the Odom Oived, Shaharei, the Alter Rebbe writes over there, Zehu Kola Odom Betaklis Briosei, Lias Loi Dira Betaktoinim. And the Alter Rebbe writes that's the whole taklis of a mega. Not only he carries out Hashem's taiva, but he also carries out what's his real taklis. So the Rebbe is hinting through that is the emerson high revelation, how do you call it, realization that you can have in this world. All the other things, which may be tremendously high, are not comparable to that you are zoiche to carry out Hashem shlichas. And you're doing it, that's your taklis in the world. And that's the highest of all. The aims is to do what you're really meant to be doing. And what are you meant to be doing? Making for him a dir. Which means that basically speaking, you're not really here for yourself. You follow? Shalom Aleichem. You're not really here for yourself. You follow? You might need certain things in order to carry that out. So if you just trust in Hashem and you ask him, he will look after you. I don't know if you're going to be a Rothschild or something like that, but he will give you what you need, what you need in order to carry out effectively this all. Taklis Briose, he will give you, he will look after you. Lo'erzois, said the Rebbe, according to this, tis Behar, Apliya mitoreres aletzem yeridas haneshama. So the Rebbe said, if we look at it all this way, that you are causing Hashem a fulcrum, but you're also fulfilling your own taklis and a greater matana than that can't be given to you. We'll now understand another surprising aspect that occurs to the intelligent observer. And what is that? He said, the etzem yeridas haneshama, shemitzad shoyer shoyer tohirohi, the neshama is tahor. He doesn't need anything down here. And that's a very high level. That's what we call oilam hatzilas. Yelamogim, yeshiyeh poyes ha'ipach tahara. And she comes down into this world where there's a terrible possibility that she can fall into ha'ipach tahara. There's all sorts of temptations and sorrows in this world that the neshama, if she doesn't make the right choice, that she can fall, who knows into what. Ad kadi kaksha neshama zakuka shom l'shmira. She needs guarding. Therefore, we say in the bracha every morning, neshama shenasata bi tahirahi, and then we say atam neshama barasi yatzat nefat atam nishamra b'kirvei, because you need a special guardianship. Once you're down in this world, you need a special guardianship. So ask yourself the shaila, why would Hashem do that? Why would He put you from such an unbelievably high situation into a very, very dangerously, how do they say in the song? It's a very difficult place. Mela said the Rabbi, yeah, Keita ditohen, Shakorish Bozu, Taklis Atoiv. The Avis is the most ultimate good, is and Miteva Hatoiv Lahidu, the great Rishonim, they teach us that something which is Toiv, its essential characteristic is to do Toiv. So if the Avis says Taklis Atoiv, he's the most ultimate Toiv we can imagine, then he must do only good. Yeah, Keita then would he be Goyrem, the Neshama Yerida Tsuma, Miigra Rama Labira Amikta. That's a Gemara, Maseta Chagiga, says that Hashem brings the Neshama from a high tower into a deep bore, into a deep pit. That he throws the Neshama all the way down into a deep pit from a highest tower. So the Rabbi said, Ulam, however, it's a tremendous challenge, and it's a big sakona. It's not easy to come down into the world. But by coming into the world and facing that possibility of Abraham, you are carrying out what is really meant for you. So if you're doing what is really meant for you, you can't have anything better than that. You follow? That is the most wondrous and ultimate realization of your benefit that can possibly be. Huh? What do you say to that? Says the Rabbi, you can't accuse Hashem. How come you put the neshama down to such a mess? And your taklis atov, you're supposed to do only good. Hashem says, I'm sorry, that is the best possible deal. There's nothing better than that. Yeah, don't move on. Davke kasher nishoma yoredes lamata, imevata says taklis, shall says lo yidira bataktoinim. And that's why I told you the story about Rabbi. He said to the Rosh Hashiva that was sitting opposite to him, he said, you're just a screw to carry out Hashem's will. Not asking you, and not asking what you want. We just want to make a deal with Taktoin. I said, this guy was, he was completely taken aback, and he said, yeah, nothing for me, So Hashem said, and Rabbi said to him, it could be Hashem will look after you, but the whole purpose is not for you, not talking to you, we want dear Allah's bottom. That's all. This guy, his eyes were telling him, oh, I'm sorry, that's what's written in the Holy Tanya. I thought I would say, get a few jumpers off their chairs or something. But everybody's surprised.
That's why they will not allow the Sefer Tanya in Ponevezh Yeshiva, in the base Midrash. No Sefer Tanya. Who? Now?
He's got a good point. That's why in some literacies, they won't allow it.
There's Tanya Sherman Panovich, actually.
Well, you don't agree with that.
No, there's Tanya Sherman Panovich.
Yeah, he said the world is changing. I think they told me that last Simchas Torah, at the height of their keeping of Simchas Torah in Ponevezh, they sang the nigun of the Balatanya. They sang the nigun of the altar. Yeah. That's right. So the nigun of the altar in the Tanya, that's the same form. That's the same thing. He said, "Here Mabia as a gilui shel atzmusi is bara." When you come down and you carry out not your inner, but you carry out the tachlis of dira v'taktoinim, then you bring the gilui of Hashem in His very essence. Atzmusi is bara. What does He want? Yeah, v'taktoinim. V'taklizu lo mitgalish kasher nishoma nisheres l'mayla. Totally that the Neshomas Lamaila, she has no worries, but then he worries about a possibility of falling into a bira, a bit, none of the darkness were coming down and facing the challenge of the world being not Gilelikus, Helen Vesta, and overcoming that and revealing how everything is only for him. It's only to make it dearly his bottom. All that she comes to have to do, as it were, to use the expression, she becomes involved with the Atman. That's the possible thing. But that through that the Neshama elevates herself. Ubishnayim, and in two, as it were, levels or forms. Aleph. He magiel a dag in eidlich yoisa mekavi yoisa mekoidom, mit galeba toiko mit. The neshama in her very soul, she reaches a higher level in the actual status of the neshama, and that is that the Rebbe brings down what it's explained in Siddur in another place, and the Rebbe also talks about it a lot. That what happens to the neshama when she comes into the world and wants to make a dira, she has what's called an opponent. All of a sudden, she meets up with the Eitzahoran that I was by me, the Gul, in the physical world. When she was upstairs, she didn't have an opponent. So when you have to overcome and you have to fight in order to bring about what is your ultimate tachlis, then a greater and more powerful perfection of your own soul and your own entity becomes revealed in you. You get higher strength and higher power than what you had when you were ideal. You follow? That's called the Toigi of Amiti. That's the emissaire driving power of the Neshama, and that becomes revealed in the Neshama. Of Amira, the Neshama itself alters in a good way. Once again, we're not saying that's the reason why Hashem sent you down, but that's what happens. He sent you down in order to make him a dira. Sorry. Oh, but nonetheless, that happens to you. And he said, then you have a much greater one, an elevation in the klolus purpose of why you came down. He said, you say to me, Zuhina Yesa, Shayeches Legiliat Musay is but the neshama becomes involved in Giluyat Moshe. There she gets her Nasinas Koyak Miyat. Here she gets the power to reveal the Atmas in the world. Dira Loyas Bora. Shara Kaoma Nifal Rachali Dea Dira Vedakteina. Ve'im Kain Yeshkan Chesed Ve'iloi Nifla. Even though we're saying she didn't come down for that. And that's not what he ultimately wants of the Neshama. but he doesn't remain above Hashem. He doesn't remain owing you anything. He pays you up in full. You get a tremendous aliyah in two great levels out of being absolutely fulfilling only his tachlis and your tachlis. But not worrying about your own aliyahs. But nonetheless, you do get those aliyahs. And he said, there's a tremendous elevation in the neshama atzmo. Ve'al kein omeres HaMishnah, yofer sho'aretz b'tshuva ma'asim teilim ba'elam hazeh. Therefore, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos said, yofer, it's good for the neshama. Yeah, also, tshuva ma'asim teilim ba'elam hazeh. Yeah, she gets this elevation, and also she makes a dira b'taktoinim. Shezer taino shalaboirei. Mikol chayei oel mabo. Taino shalanivra. You're coming into the world is much higher than all the mabo. Why? Because in Elam that's going to be your taino. And that's what we call taino nivra. Although when you're here in this world, you're being busy with the taino boreh. You're helping Hashem to fulfill his taino. Nisava HaKodibor. Olam haba is going to be your time. Yeah, and that's what we call your sachar, your, as it were, reward. Although that will be for you. Here, you're revealing tiny for him.
Isn't
Yeah.
but even
So the Rebbe said, apart from the fact that you're also getting bigger status, although that's not the important part.
isn't Tainig Nivra though because that you sense the Tainig of Bari? Isn't the Tainig of the Nivra because the Nivra senses the Tainig of the Bari though?
Yeah, that's on a higher level. That's another field.
No.
But the reward of Elam Haba is a reward for the neshama that she will sense unbelievable kind. It could be that she will have a liaison in reach a much higher level. But ultimately, it'll be for her. You got it?
Yeah.
Here, you get the privilege of doing what his timing is.
Yeah.
You follow? In this world. Therefore, yeah, Davki in this world, he says, Yofen. Here it's very good. In Elam Haba, you can't reach what you got in this one. So that's basically the tremendous message that I wanted to get over. But now the Rabbi tells us that on that particular Shabbos, wait a minute, what Velha Mishnah and Perigimel, right? Oh, so then was also Perigimel. And the Rebbe said that Perigimel begins with the Istakul, the Kaviyah being Mahalal Oima, Istakul B'Shleisha Devarim, Ve'in Atar Bo Lidei Chet. And then he says, Da'am Yain Baza Ve'lan Atar Hilach Ve'lifnei Mi Atar Osid Litein Din V'Chet. So he said, if you count that, you say anyway that's 3. Why do you need to start off with a general statement? You start with B'Shleisha Devarim. I know myself, he tells me what they are. I see it's Shleisha Devarim. Why does he have to tell me Shleisha Devarim? Ella, the Rebbe said that's like a lead-in statement that has its own shot in its own right. And then you get to 3 very important other him, which are linked with that. Oh, but that is like a statement all its own, which means that you've got to study 3 things. And he leaves you to work that out. What are the 3 things? So he says the 3 things are normally a person. You come along in China, and he can say, well, I only know for 2 things. There's me and Hashem, and I'm an Hashem in a group. I've got what to do down here, and I got to try and keep Hashem's will, do his mitzvahs and his Torah, and that's a big task. I know 2 things. What's the third? What do I have to look at 3 things? So the Rebbe said, if you're a Yid according to Tanya, then the Tanya teaches you that you've got to look at a 3rd thing, and that's a big, big ikar. What is that? The world. You've got to look at the world what are you doing through your connection with Hashem to the world? Are you changing the world and making it a dear lawyer's Bodhabata? You follow? Are you doing that? Or are you just worrying about you and Hashem? You follow? And that's why he says, he comes to tell you, not like you all the time doing, look at yourself and the everything. You're going to look at the world, what's happening. And then, then you get such an elevation that the whole thing of Aveda just becomes an absolutely foreign entity. It doesn't exist in your lexicon or your whole way of life. Why? Because you're only busy doing what Hashem wants. So since you're busy the whole time doing what Hashem wants, you haven't got a moment to do an Aveda. So you become completely in another world where there's no longer any Aveda. Which means that you're holding already by Moshiach, Shalom. And that's a caveat by Moshiach. You're holding already by the Gula. If you reach that level, you follow? And that's a caveat ben Mahalal that the Mishnah in Masechta Eidias says about a caveat ben Mahalal that the gates of the Beis Hamikdash never closed on somebody as holy and Chassidic as Kavim ben Mahalal. He was very, very high.
Who?
Kavim ben Mahalal, the one who said Shleisha Dvarim. He was a tremendously holy person. And he was the time of the Beis Hamikdash was time. So the Mishnah in Eidia says that the gates of the closed on a man as holy as a Kavim ben Mahalal. Wow. No. It's amazing stuff. That's absolutely unbelievable. And that's what I Kavya ben Mahalil, he said, I'm sorry, you have to look at Shleisha. And that's the whole Chabadske question. That you can't be just satisfied what's happening between you and Hashem. It's important, nobody with it. But you have to worry about what is the ultimate tachlis. And that's what the Nosson told that person. That's what he got a big surprise. Because he wasn't used to hearing that. He thought there was such a thing between me and Hashem. He's right. But the whole in of Tanya, makes you broaden your whole horizon. And you know that he came down, dear Allah is Barabataktain, and does it again. Fine. Does it again. That's in a good. So we wish everybody a lot of Atzlacha. In other words, that Adi Kodem Akavya ben Mahalil, he's basically saying that you become so busy making a dear Elohim Bora, but Taktoinim. It's just no hate anymore. You couldn't fall into any hate. Which is just not in that bracket anymore. You're busy Hashem's word, changing Hashem's word, the ultimate dear of a him. And I once heard a word, maybe this will be the little sort of a bringing part of it, that they say over in the name of the famous Polish Rabbi, he was called the Remendle Mikotsk, the Ramacham Mikotsk. He was a very great person, very, very good. And he was very, crisp and very sharp, So he once said that minor Siddim, they don't make any affairs. He said, my Siddim, they don't make any affairs. He said, I got them so busy that they have no time. He says, they're so busy. He said, mine said them that they just don't have any time to make it. So we were very impressed by them. So maybe if we take the pneumias of the message that we have here, we can maybe say that's maybe what he was hinting at. You become so busy it's not your thing anymore. You're busy making a dear bottom between. You're busy preparing the world for Mashiach, and you want to have the aluvish oleilam in what's left of the godliness. You're so busy with that, you just don't. You're not in the whole level of making a better husband. I wonder, maybe we could learn shut. You know what he said? And then it becomes very amazing. And I'll just add a further little thing, if everybody will permit me, L'chaim. I'll only keep you another few minutes, but hopefully it'll be worth it. L'chaim.
Where's the wine?
And that is that Rashi says in this week's Seder, what this week's Seder Be'ik is about the Shemitah and the Yoivo. Shemitah, you gotta just leave this world behind, you understand? You live in another level altogether where you're involved only in the Ruchnias and the Gashmas you leave up to Hashem. You're living on a completely different world. So there's a Rashi at the end of Shani, where Rashi says that you will, at the beginning of Shlishi, Rashi says, "V'achaltem lachmachem l'soyibo v'yishavtem better ba'atzchem." You will sit, live better, ba'atzchem. You will sit safely in the land. So it says Rashi, what it means, sit safely in the land. You won't have to worry about famines or anything like that. Other countries haven't, but you won't have them. Yeah. And just before that, it's written at the end of the last piece, where you shavtem alo oretz lo veta. And over there, Rashi says, you won't have to worry about going into Golas. So make up your mind. So there are two different types of being safe. One safe is that you're safe from outside influences. You know, they're not going to come and put you into Golas. The other way of safe is you live in a safe situation that you're not going to have, how do you call it, temptation, famines, or who knows what. Yeah. So Rashi says, if you live that way, the way the Shemitah commands us, then you won't have worry not from that and not from that. And you eat a little bit, you'll just eat a small amount.
You'll be satisfied.
And it will be mitbarek b'mayayim. You have a big bracha in your tummy, and you will feel as if you had a big blood. That's what Rashi. So next posik, if you look it up over there, the next posik says, the key tomru, and if you will say, what are we going to eat in the Shemitah year? We're not going to do anything. What are we going to eat? Yeah. So it's an amazing thing that Torah puts a kasha into the mouth of Yidden. A very unusual thing. Yeah. So then the Eberster answers, "V'tzivisi es birchosi." I will command my blessing that you'll have everything for 3 years. So came along Rabbi Zushia, Me'anipolia. Hello? Everybody listening? And Rabbi Zushia, Me'anipolia, he came along and he said, what's this Indian? All of a sudden he answered, Kasha, Rashi just said to you, everything's going to be perfect. Safety from outside, safety from inside. You can't just eat a little bit and you'll feel full. You can have a perfect situation. I come along and say, went on, but what am I going to eat? You've got to catch it. So he said, if you do that, then you fall down from the level you really meant to be on. And you put yourself under the rule of nature. Everything was perfect. Why did you have to go and ask a catch? This is Rabbi Zushia. So therefore the Rebbe was a good father. The Rebbe said, oh, you blew everything. But I'll command my bracha. So if you have to command a bracha, that's pretty, how do you call it? It's pretty hard going, you have to command a bracha. which means it'll be a bracha, but it'll come with a sort of a adequate, a certain push, you know. It'll have to be obliged to do what it wants. Otherwise, you would have an amazing, unlimited bracha. If a mother don't ask any questions, if you ask questions, then you blow the plan that Hashem has.
Could ask questions to
Yeah,
Hashem.
passion. What's going to be? And that's what the Rebbe just said. And put them in several Svarim, Bishmoy. And that's an amazing thing. Everything the way Hashem planned it is perfect. Everything. And you'll have everything you need. And even though once in every 7 years you'll be cut off altogether, don't worry. In Yovel, you'll be cut off by 2 or 3 years in a row. Yeah. You'll have everything you need. And Hashem will help you. That he could, ideal world. Yeah. Comes along the Balabati show. Yehitzahara, you know, the Balabayas. They said, wait a minute. What are we going to take it to? Yeah, Pluto thing has to catch him. Although I'm a good father, I'll have to command my brother to be said. Oh, well, struggle I have to, yeah. But you'll be a little bit more under the rules of nature. As though you would have been completely outside. If I'm going to be well, everybody.
לא תקנה שמה של שרה חנה בת נחמיה. ברוך השם לעולם, ברוך אתה אדוני לחלום, בורא כל דרכנו.
Parshas Vayachi, you spoke the Sikha of the Rebbe about Barzel, iron in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi.
Oh, yeah.
There was
The
an
Rebbe's got a whole piece about it. We learned, you remember?
We learned.
Yeah.
There
The
was
Rebbe said then the Barzel is going to